Well, you are tuned to the Summit. It is the Summit.fm and 91.3 FM Akron, Canton, and 90.7 FM in Youngstown, and now 90.1 FM in Athens, Ohio, the home of Ohio University. And the technology is so amazing. As our guest Niels Bacher is joining us for a Zoom session for our ongoing series now of music discovery interviews, where we find independent artists, and oftentimes from all around the world. And Mr. Niels Bacher, you are joining us from Copenhagen, Denmark area. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. And yes, thank you once again. Thank you for having me. That sounded really exciting. What all the stuff you just did there. That was really cool.
The high profile intro, but
Yes, exactly.
It's true. In the last 2 years of COVID related strangeness, one of the nice things that has come out of this is the technology. We have learned how to adopt, and now we're doing overseas interviews on platforms like Zoom and so forth, where we can have artists on the air that have never even been to the station just yet. It's still more fun to have a visit in studio, but we'll take what we can get.
Yeah, you have to start somewhere, and this is a great, very exciting start. And this is my first radio interview ever, so I'm just really I'm just thrilled for this. I'm stoked. So
that is so cool. Very good. Well, so tell us a little bit about your music and your history and getting started as an independent artist.
Right. Well, I started doing music at a very young age, not with a dream of doing it professionally or anything. It was just me playing drums when I was about 8, and I didn't really think much of it. And then my parents decided, because they thought I did pretty well, so they thought that I should start learning it much more intensely, and I didn't want to do that. But that's what they made me do it, and I'm really happy they did today, because then it really caught on. And then from that I started learning piano and guitar. I just really wanted to learn as much as possible playing music. And then I think when I was around 17, that's where I really got into recording music as well, because it was around the age of like 9 or 10 I realized how much fun it was to do music, and that's where I knew I wanted to do music. So at 17, I was like, I got to get some music out there so I can actually say that's what I'm doing. And that's where I started looking into studios and stuff where I could record my music, and then I could release it to the world and get it heard. And from that, like you said before, with the COVID-19 situation, I think it was just before the quarantine, the first quarantine we had here in Denmark, I think I started getting into buying studio gear myself and learning how to produce, so that I could do it much more than what I could before. And
Sure.
I've come a long way since. So I'm really trying to just write as often as I can, produce as often as I can, and release as often as I can, because it is a blessing what I have right here with my studio and everything.
Well, and it's kind of neat learning the production side too. Are you starting to work with other recording artists as well and produce for others, or just your own stuff?
I am. Yeah. I last year I looked into just using Instagram. I was just using to see who else is out there. Yep. I was looking for something that fit my style. I only have one song right now where I have a feature on. It's called Patterns, and it is my latest release. And it's featuring another artist from Los Angeles. That's where he's located. He's called Danny Fuentes. He's really great. He's a rapper, and I just thought that that sounded pretty well with my sort of style, even though it's not necessarily all rap that I do. I just thought singing and rapping together could go well for that song.
Sure.
So not a lot of stuff yet with other artists, but for the future, I definitely want to do a lot more features. I'll have me as a feature on others if they are interested in that, because it's a really good way to Expand your audience also, but also it's just so much fun listening to yourself with others. It's great.
Right, right. Well, and looking at just the tech side of that too, your collaboration with an artist in Los Angeles, like that's pretty neat in and of itself.
It is, and I did find that, like, for the first release with another person on it, I really did find it was greeted in another way when I released that song, and it was really cool to watch because I he is a bit like his following on Instagram is bigger than mine, and also on Spotify. It's we're almost sort of the same, but he is just that much bigger than me that I could see the difference when I released the song. It affected my numbers, which was cool. Also, I was very happy with that too.
That viral following, that is pretty neat, and it's all just word of mouth. And I just think it's pretty exciting, all this neat stuff you're working on. So we want to play a couple of your songs today, and we've been playing on the station Too Sick to Love. So we'll save that one. Let's hear a different one. Tell us a little bit about this song Insecure, and just kind of set this one up for us.
Yes, of course. Insecure was a song that I wrote this year. Actually, I don't know how I really began thinking. It is one of those things where I made the music first. I made the track first, which I usually always do every single time, and then I think with this one I was just sort of vibing, and I think it was because I was having a talk with somebody about something that feels like I feel like a lot of people can relate to the feeling of not feeling adult. Like it's like you're faking your way into, like, suddenly you don't feel like you're your own age. And I think I was having a conversation with somebody about that, and there was so much stuff I couldn't relate to, and I was feeling sort of melancholy because I was just, my head was in the past for a long time. I was stuck. It was like I was stuck there, and I was like 17, and I just couldn't get out of the age of 17, and that's where I started feeling really insecure about that. And because I realized I was insecure about that, it just started this whole it started growing in my head how with it connected other insecurities, and then suddenly it was just like me sitting in my room with the music and just feeling all kinds of different, like, insecure in all kinds of different ways. And I felt like that was just a good way for me to get that out. It's one of those, like, it's not even necessarily a message, it's just me letting it flow through my body and out into the world. Like, that's how I felt writing the song.
That's what music and art does best, it's great.
Yes.
Well, let's listen. Let's listen to Insecure. Joining us from Denmark, Niels Bacher is our guest here on Summit.
I'm so insecure, don't know how to grow up, and I feel so immature. I just want time to stop. So hard, big shot, I thought I knew the way. High horse, I was too cocky to see they were right to talk a bit of sense into my head. I might have been better if I listened to them back then instead. Now I look back on all those days with such a shame and sadness. I can't keep track of all the ways they blame me for the madness. I'm filled with rage but can't look people in the eyes. I'm in a claustrophobic cage of evil thoughts, I wanna die. Now I'm popping pills till I don't feel a thing. I no longer find thrills in writing or singing. I wish I didn't know what happens to a heart when you just let go and your dreams fall apart. Don't look at me, leave me be, I can no longer guarantee I will see life as the most beautiful ride eventually. Cause I'm so insecure, don't know how to grow up, and I feel so immature. I just want time to stop. I'm so confused now, I've turned into 10 different people, and I don't choose how I switch between the good and evil. These days the only one that ever takes control is the one that has the darkest mind but lacks the biggest soul. The one that tells me I'm an idiot just for believing. The one that yells at me when I'm too calm so I'll stop freaking. And now I'm just a shell of someone who don't feel trying to leave, cause that is now the only thing that's real. I'm caught up in emotions that scare me to death. In this ocean of feelings I run out of breath. I wish I could go and be the best I can be, cause I really don't like this version of me. Frustrated, I'm embarrassed and it sucks. I no longer even know how to I can stand being around. I just wanna disappear. I wish I could get some help but don't let anybody near. Cause I'm so insecure, don't know how to go on. And I feel so immature. I just want time to stop. I just end up feeling sore. Don't wanna take them on, just forget what you just saw. You can move along, I'll probably just make you feel super bored. I can take them on, never felt so fake before. I'm so sick of shaking so much, I just end up feeling sore. Don't wanna take them on, just forget what you just saw. I just wanna take a fall.
This is the Summit and our Emerging Artist Spotlight, where we do interviews with new artists, sometimes from here in Ohio, independent, hardworking artists. And I'll tell you what, sometimes from all around the world. That's the case today. From Copenhagen, Denmark, Niels Bacher is joining us. And Niels, I understand this is your first ever even radio interview. That is pretty great. How cool.
It is very exciting, very intimidating.
Yeah.
But fun. I think it's going well.
So too, I try to keep it pretty easy, pretty warm, and you know, just get to know the artist and the inspirations a little bit. So
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Copenhagen and, you know, the city and how things are going now. I presume concerts and things are starting back up again, and and despite the COVID weirdness in our world, you're getting back out there a little bit.
Yes, exactly. I'm actually looking into getting out there as much as possible right now because Too Sick to Love was my first release this year, and it came out after me being sort of offline for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, in some ways, it was like a comeback for me, because I was also offline from social media and everything else. So I came back with a new song. I came back on online social medias and everything that comes with that. And I'm just keeping that alive right now, which is going pretty well. I'm still posting, I'm still releasing music, which is great. And then I just sort of, after releasing, I think it might be Insecure, like if it felt like I was on a really good track. And then I got to the point where I was like, okay, but what's next? Because how do we make this grow even more? How do we continue? How do we build up and not just keep something alive? So yeah, that is obviously going out and play live. So I've gathered a band now. Finally, it's much more complicated than you would think, but I finally made it. Got in touch with different people playing music, and now I have a band, and we are rehearsing. We don't have any shows booked yet, but that is the next thing that I'm looking into. Because that's the thing about being independent, is that you are also your own manager, agent,
right,
everything that comes with it. So so I had so many steps which were get in touch with a bass player, a drummer, and a guitarist and all that stuff. And now I finally got that down. Then I had to meet them. Then I had to find a place where we could rehearse all those things. And it is fine. It has finally happened, all of it. Now I just need to book shows, and then we just rehearse. And I'm very excited for that. I'm really excited. It's been a long time since I've played anything live.
Well, it's great to hear that. And tell us a little bit about music in Denmark, and just people going out to see or discover bands. And are there a lot of fully independent? Is there like a music scene in your city?
In Copenhagen, I think Copenhagen is pretty cultural when it comes not just to music, but all kinds of different stuff. It's quite often that you find there'll be an open mic for, well, not necessarily anything specific, but just general stuff. Like anybody can show up with whatever they got. So mostly theater, music. But it's also, I don't know the culture compared to like America or any other country in Europe. I don't know if it's just Copenhagen, but I find that it's not too hard to find a bar or a pub or anything. It's not too difficult to get booked at those sort of places. That's my impression, at least, is that you can always write these people and get in touch with them, and they are usually pretty, like, it doesn't take, because I always feel like, once again, like talking about insecure, right, and insecurities, sometimes I find myself thinking, well, I do have some accomplishments that I can show for. That's the great thing about being on Spotify and Apple Music and all those things. It's like, as long as I can show them that I'm actually there and that people are listening, then they will be very open to booking, I think, an artist like me. So that's great.
Well, very cool. Yeah. Our guest, Niels Bacher, joining us from Denmark here today. And it is the Summit and our new artist discovery feature. So tell me a couple of fun things about your city as well. Favorite places or parks or restaurants or anything like that. If I were to travel to Copenhagen, what are the must-sees?
Right. Well, must-see tourist attractions would obviously be Tivoli or the Little Mermaid, stuff like that, Christiania. But I think it depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for something like a night out, which is pretty much the people I've talked to, being tourists in Denmark or in Copenhagen, have always asked me for a good place to go out during the night. But that's usually because that's where I meet them, because where I go is in a hostel called Downtown Copenhagen Downtown, and it's really great. I didn't know. I think I started going there. I went there with a friend of mine who used to work there, and I just thought it was a bar, and then it turns out it's a whole hostel that has a bar. Because I started wondering why I wouldn't meet any Danes there. I was like, it's pretty amazing how I always meet people from all around the world, but it turned out it was because it's a hostel. But they have so many things at that bar, and they have such cool people, because people are tourists. They are so open and so excited just to be in a different place, that it's really a good time there.
So cool. Very good. One day I'll make the trip. I've always wanted to visit Denmark, and
it is beautiful, Copenhagen. It's a very pretty city. It's very cozy as well, because that's what they said about Denmark, is we do hygge,
Yeah.
Which is the Danish word for cozy. They say nobody do hygge like Danes.
I saw I read a book about that a couple of years ago. How cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's what we do.
Well, Niels Bacher is our guest here on the Summit, and so I want to play "Make Me Believe" next. So tell us just a little bit about this song here.
Yes, thank you. "Make Me Believe" came out was it 2 years ago? 2020, I think. Yeah, it must be 2020.
Okay.
And it was me getting really frustrated. I got to a point where I felt like it took too long in between my releases and all that sort of stuff. Because back then, like I said, I have spent a lot of time getting my own production studio here where I live. But I didn't have that at the time when I made Make Me Believe. So I actually had to go out and record somewhere else. And that was it took a lot, because then I had to find specific days where I could do that, and everything just took such a long time. So it felt like I would spend months and months and months on one song to release it, and then I would spend months and months and months and months again. So every time I released a song, the hype for it would die out so quickly. And I think a lot of artists can still relate to this. It was really, really difficult to just keep the excitement, not just for myself, but also for everyone around me. So I was really frustrated with that. I was frustrated with how everything took so long, and I was just relying on so many assets that I couldn't control, and so many people that weren't me. And also I got so bothered that when I finally managed to hype it up, nobody seemed to care that much when it was released. And that's not to speak in a bad way of anyone I know. No, nothing bad, no bad blood with family or friends or anything. It's just to say that I've spent a lot of time also trying to get my family and friends to be my number one fan base, and I've really learned it's a great thing to just realize, just accept that your fan base or your audience is out there, but don't try to find it in family and friends, because they will support you. But if you just go, pander to them, it won't grow that much. And that's I think that's where I just hit a wall, and I was so frustrated. So that's what made me believe came from.
Well, let's listen. Niels Bacher is our guest, and the song is Make Me Believe, and you're here on the Summit.
I always used to have a lot of faith that everything was gonna go my way. But over time a lot of things have changed. Can someone make me believe again? When I was 12 years old I was so full of confidence. I was full of myself and made sure all my time was spent on being seen. I was a lucky with a lot of friends. Back then to me every day was like a new event. Wanting attention with a strong passion to entertain, and for motion and against in class I was the one to blame. Every single day was always different and never the same. That was just the way it was to me. My life was just a game. I lived in the moment and I just had a good time. Didn't worry about the future cause I knew I'd be fine. I was gonna make it big, there was no doubt in my mind. I was excited for the days where I could get up and grind. I never thought that it would come to this. I never thought I'd ever have to feel this emptiness. Thought I'd end up doing more, now I'm doing less. And I've changed myself, yeah I must confess. I always used to have a lot of faith that everything was gonna go my way. But over time a lot of things have changed. Someone make me believe again. I always used to have a lot of faith that everything was gonna go my way. But over time a lot of things have changed. Someone make me believe again. And as I'm looking back now, I start to wonder how I started thinking about things the way that I do now. Realistic was not a word that I would allow to ever hear come out of people's condescending mouths. I always saw myself as being such an extrovert, but now I think I'm quite the opposite. It's just absurd how much I'd rather be alone and never say a word. I don't have anything to add, so I don't care about being heard. I waste my energy every day on things no one pays attention to anyway. Have you heard my new song? No? Oh well, okay, I guess it just isn't good enough. What else can I say? My passion for my craft has become a curse that slowly day by day will be getting worse. I wish I didn't have to be writing this verse, and I feel like my brain is about to burst. I always used to have a lot of faith that everything was gonna go my way. But over time a lot of things have changed. Someone made me believe again. I always used to have a lot of faith that everything was gonna go my way. But over time a lot of things have changed. Someone made me believe again. Everything was gonna go my way. But over time a lot of things have changed. Someone made me believe again. I always used to have a lot of faith that everything was gonna go my way. But over time a lot of things have changed. Can someone make me believe again?
Well, you are tuned to the Summit, and it's a new artist discovery feature. This is Niels Bacher, who is joining us on Zoom today for an interview, and no international phone call rates on this too. Zoom is great. It's nice to meet you virtually.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for
yeah,
having me. It's really great. Yeah, it's
it's
so exciting. I finally feel a bit more comfortable. I can do this all night.
that's
All right.
right. That's
Yes,
right.
hit me.
Yeah. Well, and I wanted to ask, so, what are your goals for your music? We're almost at the end of the year here. So looking ahead to 2022, do you have some new material that you want to get released in the new year? Things like that?
Absolutely. In the new year, I really do aspire to, from ever since I released Too Sick to Love, I really aspire to just try to produce and release as much as possible. Not like a song every week, because you don't want to. Yeah, that's an overkill. But you just like I said before with Make Me Believe, just not have it die out. And I have another song I want to release this year. Hopefully more. If not, then I have this one, and then going into next year, I just want to keep releasing. And like we talked about before, I want to get out and play as many gigs as possible, because I really want to spread my name,
Yep.
which is also one of the best ways to do that is getting out and getting seen, also not just getting heard. So yeah, getting out, playing live in front of as many audience as possible, and releasing as much as possible, because that really is my number one goal in life, in anything. It is not, it's a passion of mine, and this is what I do. This is not a hobby. This is not something I do for fun. I want to grow, and I cannot stress that enough. I genuinely, that is my number one goal. Hungry for attention.
Right. Well, that's great. No, and I just think it's so neat to think that we're your first ever radio station interview. So we can say that,
and I want to thank you. Thank you.
We knew you way back when in the early days there. So that's great.
Take note of that. I know. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. It's a great opportunity. It's very exciting. And I'm trying not to just this one experience that we're having right now, you and I, it's already getting to my head. So I really need to chill, but it's really exciting and fun. So thank you.
So cool. Yeah. Well, most excellent. I was also curious, have you ever visited the United States yet? Or have you, or just Europe?
I actually have visited America. The first time I went to the States was, I think I was 14. I went to New York City, with a friend of mine, and like it was a school trip, and we went. It wasn't. It was like a youth school that we didn't go to, but they'd used to arrange these trips to different cities, and we decided we wanted to go with them to New York because we wanted to go to New York and see New York. And so it was just basically me and my friend, once we got there, just exploring the city on our own, which was exciting because we were 14, and also I barely spoke English. Like it was just at the point where I learned the language just enough so that I could get around, but still not really. So that was also quite the thrill. And the second time I went to America, it was because I went to an audition in Copenhagen. Actually, I was 16, and I auditioned for something I didn't even really know what was. They were just looking for a bunch of actors, which is something I love doing. Also, I just love performing in general. So yeah, anything where I can act and sing. I've done a bunch of musicals and that sort of stuff. It's great. And they were on audition, and they were looking for young kids for this sort of performance thing. And we were quite a few hundred people. And in the end, I made it. We were like 30 people, and we were told we should go to Los Angeles, which was really exciting. So I went, and it turned out it was like this 1 week of a boot camp, basically, where I was trained in all sorts of acting and also modeling, which is not something I really have a passion for at all. But I mean, it was fun. It was all sort of performance related arts that they would train you in. And then in the final day of the week, they had a bunch of agencies that would like to, that might maybe they saw you doing a monologue, and then maybe they like to see you. So I got to speak with quite a few, but I didn't really go anywhere from that, because it ended up seeming like they really wanted you to move to Los Angeles if anything were to maybe happen.
Mhm.
And that was just not very. I mean, I was 16 and there was no way I was ever going to get my family to live there. So I would have to go on my own. And also
Yeah.
then maybe they would talk to you again. And that was just way too risky for me. So I just ended up doing the whole boot camp and seeing the city when I weren't working. And it honestly is one of the greatest places I've ever been in my life. It was such a good trip and it was amazing to see the city. And it was just the weather, people, everything. It was a really nice environment.
Well, and more of though, the more experiences like that you can do, just meeting people, connecting, sharing your music and all of that.
Absolutely.
That's
Yes.
where it all comes from. So
100%. Yeah. That's also why I want to get out and play live.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, so Too Sick to Love, we'll kind of wrap up our interview segment today with that one, and tell us just a little bit about this song.
Right. So Too Sick to Love is it's one of my personal favorites of those songs I actually have released. I really like it a lot. I'm proud of it. I think it ended up sounding pretty great, if I do say so myself. And it just sort of it's my first love song in some ways, because my previous songs, I really made a lot of I paid a lot of attention to not writing love songs, because it was sort of basic. I felt like at the time it was unoriginal and really uncreative. It was not very creative if you didn't really have anything to say. It's a very go-to sort of thing for songwriters. So I was like, I don't want to write any love songs.
Yeah.
But then I found I got a girlfriend last year, and it was just the whole feeling of being high on this love. First of all, it was great, and it was during quarantine, so we really were together all the time.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So we were in love, and it was so great, and it wasn't something I was planning on. It just came out of nowhere, but it was so great. But also it came at a time, like I said, I was offline for quite a while, and I was offline because I was dealing with a lot of mental stress and a lot of stuff mentally that I was just figuring out. A lot of stuff that didn't I just weren't doing well mentally, and that's what I was working on, which is why I went offline. And then I got my girlfriend, and it was just such a weird roller coaster of emotions. And that's where that song comes from. It's Too Sick to Love, which is you found this newfound love, which is really, really great. But there comes some stress and some worries with that, because I was at a very fragile state. So that's what the song's about.
I think the song turned out great, and glad to have discovered it, and just nice to meet you and talk with you today. So
you too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for spending some time and introducing your music. And once again,
absolutely.
This is Niels Bacher, who is from the area of Copenhagen, Denmark, and we'll play Too Sick to Love. Thanks so much, and have a great day.
You always know when I'm not feeling right. I hate that you can call my bluff, and my past got kinda dark and the future does not seem too bright. Can we not just pretend it's nothing? I never wrote a song that goes like this, 'cause I've never felt this way. It was only pain, but now there's comfort. But I don't know how to deal with all the love you're giving me. I have nothing left to offer. I'm terrified, I've never been this close to the edge before. I've always felt I've never had enough. I don't wanna lie, and I'm scared I can do things right no more. These days I think I'm too sick to love. Bad days, medicine, brain haze, let it in, that's how it goes. Yet here I am, want you to know I'll do what I can. You wanna go to the moon, so I just want you to know I'll build a rocket ship and take you before someone else does it, and I don't see you anymore. You calm me down, but I get anxious and depressed, because if I still feel sad with your head on my chest, will I ever be as happy as I once was? I'm terrified, I've never been this close to the edge before. I've always felt I've never had enough. I don't wanna lie, and I'm scared